Hello and welcome along to episode 2 of this brand new FM22 Rebuilding series from Helsingborg with me, Daniel. We're back today to play our first game in charge of the club. We go away to Trelleborgs on the opening day of the season, just a few days after the transfer window slams shut, and after a bit of a frustrating month to be honest. We've also got some new staffing additions to meet, we'll see our tactic, and we'll get into our first game of the season. So if you're looking forward to all of that, it should be pretty action-packed, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. If you missed episode 1 when we met the staff, the players, and had our first day at the job, you can find that up in the eye above now. If you're enjoying the series so far, then please do turn that notification bell on and subscribe down below for daily FM22 content. 2 long-term stories continue. This one has replaced the head coach, and a Hemel save is back tomorrow at 3:30 as normal. You can also find links in the eye above to the Twitch channel, the football podcast, and the merchandise store too. And you can support the show as a channel member down below by clicking the join button if you wish. But thank you very much as always for your incredible support, as we come back for, well, an interesting episode here, because it's a little bit of a mix of not getting the 1 star we really wanted in the window, but otherwise having a decent time, not really knowing what to expect from the first game. We've had loads of little injury problems, which has been really frustrating throughout pre-season, but I still feel we're in decent shape. So we're going to start with transfers, then we'll focus on the stuff a bit closer to the pitch. So transfer news is, we're continuing to improve the staffing. We'll take a look at the ones that have come in a moment. We have, though, for the majority of the last month, been batting off interest from other clubs for our stars. Anthony van den Herk, the striker, is the main one. He was unhappy at one stage, but we promised him we'll get promoted this year. And if we don't, he'll be leaving the club. But quite frankly, we'll probably get sacked if we don't. So it doesn't really matter. We've not been able to get that star centre-half we were looking for. We've had a few on trial, but they've not been able to come down to the wages that we can offer. I'll show you the main one that we looked at, or the most realistic one, which was this guy, Jan Polak, a 32-year-old Czech Republic central defender, 3.5 star ability. I'll show you what his wage demands are now. They're just starting to drop, so maybe soon it'll be possible. But he wants 2.2. When he comes on trial, it's 1.9, just above what we need. Our highest paid player is on 1.3 grand a week. I was surprised though by the standard of players we could get on trial, and I'll give you an example of this. If we go and have a look at our transfer history, we'll ignore the players we've got in and gone out for a moment. Don't worry, we haven't done loads. Most of this was agreed before we started the job. If we go and have a look at trials, we've had some big names in, none more so than Mapu Yanga and Biwa. You may remember in the Premier League from his Newcastle days, but has played for Roma, Lyon, Montpellier, big clubs, and still a very decent centre-half. He wanted massive money, so there was no point in coming on trial. But it does seem weird that at 31, having left Lyon, he'd consider the Swedish second tier. I'm not sure that's realistic, I'll be honest. Don't forget, we've got no reputation, no coaching badges, Sunday League footballer. It doesn't really add up. Having said that, despite our frustration at centre-half, we have got 4 additions to the squad. 1 player leaves the club on loan, Victor Blixt, who I need to give a bit more credit than I did in the last episode, because at 18 years of age, he's not a great right back. We're retraining him as a winger. But he was a model citizen, and I completely missed it in our introductions. He's a very good personality, a great character in the club, and he's playing in the 3rd tier of Swedish football now, which we have got loaded, and hopefully he'll have a good season there. But a really good sign that we've got players with that personality, should we get promoted and of course stay in the job. Let's look at the 4 ins though. The first one is the only one that I instigated. The next 2 were sort of squad players done by the director of football, and the last one was a 15-year-old for the future. So let's start with my sign-in. Lucas Rossa on loan from Kalmar FF in Sweden. They're in the top tier, and they loaned out this guy. We desperately needed a backup left back. Can also cover left wing and centre midfield as well. It seems like the researchers maybe for this country haven't got quite the knowledge, because there's a lot of players who sort of have the balance of attributes I would liken to the greyed out players, where they've just sort of got 10s, 11s, 9s across the board. And this guy's no different, but a very solid player regardless. Definitely good enough to be a deputy left back and can cover another position. So a useful player off the bench, only 20 years of age, he's 6'2". If we get promoted, maybe he's someone who can be part of our squad for that. So that was the main panic over, because we've got depth everywhere else. Whether it's the quality we want or not, we've got ability there. The next one that came in was actually the other fullback area, Matar Carr, for £975. He's a solid right back, and with us playing three in midfield, we only actually had 4 first team players that could cover those positions. So with at the moment Lindgren being one of our right backs, who could be a centre midfielder too, I decided that actually this was a good deal to do. A 25-year-old Norwegian, really low wage, 140 quid a week, excellent physically, great natural fitness, likes to get forward, and he's solid 2.5-star ability, so why not have him as our backup right back and move the other lad into midfield? Seems sensible, right? And then a centre midfielder came along. It all fell on our lap. Marcus Kanto for £3,100, Swedish 20-year-old, real prospect for the future, and already pretty good, I'd say. So someone we'd be happy to have involved in our squad, and just covers us for those sort of injury crisis without really ramping up the wage bill, and I'm sure we'll make a profit on both of them. And then looking ahead to the future for the longer term, Jakob Hansen was the man who came in. 15 years of age, it was worth a gamble. He's not got the height yet, but he looks like he might become the target man type. Already 1.5-star ability, 5-star potential, and with the right training, I'm sure he can become a very good pro. So that's where we are at the moment. No blockbuster signings, no big additions, but certainly strengthened that squad and given us depth where we needed it most. The dynamics as a result are not bad. The managerial support's not there because we've got no reputation, and Vandenherk is still a little unhappy. But otherwise, it's not too bad at all. The schedule's okay. We had that tough run in Spain in our training camp, but we've recovered against lower league opposition since then. And we go into the first game full of confidence after 3 successive wins and 3 successive clean sheets. If we have a look at the staffing though, because that is also very important, nothing will prove that more than my Hemel save. The importance of having top staffing can really make up for any deficits you have on the playing side, and particularly when there's a young squad like this one here. You can see it's nowhere near fully rebuilt yet, only being 4.5 weeks in, but we've got a couple of key roles covered. The one that I decided was Chief Scout Michael Steen. He comes in for the end of the season, 425 quid a week. He's decent enough. He's 11 for judging ability and potential. He can also be a physio, rather weirdly, and he's not too bad at that. But I just thought it was a really good addition. Been out of work for a while, worked at Dundee United as a player back in the day. Does anyone remember him from 1997? Good knowledge of the whole of Scandinavia, and hopefully can find us a couple of very good players. The other one that came in was by our director of football. Andreas Grankvist added Tommy Pedersen as the under-19 manager. Yeah, not so good. I think that's the difference between me finding people and the director of football finding people. And at 64, he's not even a prospect for the future. So no idea what Grankvist has seen in him. Maybe he knows him from a previous role. But additions coming in, we're getting there slowly. You saw there was a link for one other there. Sretan Kenic is a head performance analyst, and he's got some slightly different knowledge as well, as worked as a youth coach with Serbia. He's okay across the board, he's young enough, and Serbia seems to have a number of exports to Swedish football, so it'd be interesting to see if we can pick any up once Kenic joins the club, well hopefully joins the club. So let me know what you think of those as we head towards the first day of the season. We have to go via the medical centre because we've had injuries galore. These two are little knocks, and that's largely what it's been, to be honest. We've had little knocks here, there and everywhere. Most of them have recovered now. Rasmus Johnson is recently back. We obviously had those couple of really long-term injuries too. But the good news, after this first day of the season, 8 days off. And for the most part, it is just a game a week. I can't see any midweek fixtures during the season. It'll only be if games get postponed. So that might help us out, help with the squad depth, help those injuries not be quite as influential in the title race. But having been favourites before the transfer window, have our rivals GIF done anything to change it? The season preview has us as favourites, and maybe now by slightly wider a margin. Is that squad depth? Have our rivals lost anyone? Or are they just being a bit random here? Right, they've lost a player. Blunkfist, and he's a very good one as well. I tell you what, I hope he's gone to a top tier side, because we would have loved to have signed that guy. He has. He's gone to a top tier Swedish side, so they've lost one of their starting centre halves. Otherwise, they're pretty strong. They've got in a player on loan and a few as free agents. And these guys are expected to be our main rivals, so I need to keep an eye on them. That's a good signing on the right wing. That's a pretty good signing as a striker. So they're getting stronger. I think that's fair to say. but we are still favourites for the title. The club didn't achieve it in real life, they got promoted via the playoffs. We don't want to leave it to that. Let's get ourselves top of the league. Let's hope we can win the title. We start away at Trelleborgs, who were expected to finish where? 6th, so in the top half. They're a club I'm sure I recognise from playing in the top tier before. Yeah, they did. See, again, that early 2000 stage. Am I wrong to think they had a season in Europe around there? Because I'm sure I remember the name in English football, and that would be the reason why. Unless they had an export who went to the Premier League or Championship. But let's go and get into the opening day. We're going to pick our 11, we're going to pick our tactic, and we'll be back in a minute to run through it. And here we are with our lineup for the first day of the season. First things first, every outfield player that's fit is in the 18 today. Just the 2 other keepers missing out. But it is still a pretty good side. We've done a lot of work on set pieces, getting an advanced far post tactic with our big centre halves, a centre forward who's good in the air, and a very good right winger aerially. We're going to start with a balanced mentality, perhaps push it up during games as we need to. But I am cautious of the fact that you can see our defence is our weakness. Where we've not been able to get in a top centre half, we've got to protect it a little. What I have done to start the season is gone for the 17-year-old Kasper Vidal as the centre-half partner. One, because he's the best in the air, he's the tallest, but also he's our academy player with the most potential, so why not? We have got options like Ali Suljic, who is good enough to come in if we need to, and we may well make that change. And of course the injured man Ravi, who has got the ability later on too. But I think if anyone's going to replace him, it's probably Suljic later on in the season. For now, though, it's Anders Lindegaard, the experienced stopper. Don't know whether to put him on a support or defensive duty. I think we might start cautious again with a defensive one. The fullbacks are Landgren, just because of the injuries we've got again at right back, and Davidson on the left. Weiberg alongside Vidal, the youngster, at centre-half. We've got Almaged, Henriksen and Lingman, the midfield 3. Don't forget, we've got Henriksen, who loves the long shot, and he's got a great rating too. I'm expecting that lad to score some bangers for us. We've got Lerper on the right, Tahar Ali on the left, and Vandenherk, the one-away striker, on his own up front. So hopefully it's going to be a positive start to the season. The one thing I don't think I've done yet is set penalty takers, actually. So let's go and make sure we've got enough of those in. We've got an injured striker there who's not going to be in, and we'll just fill the rest of them up. There we go. So our team today is very strong. It's basically a first 11, bar maybe one defender. We are sticking balanced. We are trying to play a shorter, better passing game because we've not really got a huge amount of legs in behind. Tahar Ali may be the one that can get on the ball and run at players. But other than him, I don't want to give too much licence to people. We're going to try and press. We're going to try and win the ball back. And then we're going to try and keep our teams in possession. Keep our opponents chasing. Try and wear them down later in matches. So let me know what you think of the signings we've made. What you think of the tactic and the team. Now let's see how it gets on the first game of the season as we head to Trelleborg to start our second tier title push. And here we go for the first game of the season. Can't admit to recognising any of the names in the host team today, but we've got to be focused on us. If we can get the job done, if we can get a winning start, it'll really give us a little bit of a boost. So hopefully we're ready, we're prepared, and we're good to go for the first game of the season. Less than 2,500 fans here, which is actually less than we've sold in season tickets. We are going to have one of the bigger grounds at a 16,000 capacity, and we're hopeful that that away support and our home support when we're there can make it a fortress and make it easier for Helsingborg to get promoted. Into the first game we go. Please don't let it go pear-shaped. As we go straight from the kickoff, might not be a good sign, but we are in the first moment of the season, so we're probably on extended highlights there. Let's get that back to key. I think everything else we'll leave as it is. Get the replays off, because the voters talked on that one. As we've got Trelleborg in possession. Hopefully this will peter out. Hopefully it's not going to be one of those key highlights. As Armin in the middle plays it left. They've got space out there, but it's headed out for a throw. Just overhit that pass, and we get off the hook in the first minute. Well, a very quiet 25 minutes for us, but the good news, our rivals are behind. The second favourites for the league. They're away from home. They're behind as well. And what a first goal to score. It's not the fact we've got the lead. It's the fact it's the 17-year-old centre-half. And it's the fact that it's that set-piece routine we'd worked on. Cross from the right from a free kick. Perfectly delivered to the back stick. And the big man rises to nod in. And he just overpowers his man. We're 1-0 up. Our rivals are 1-0 down. And it's the thing we worked on most tirelessly through games, through training schedules, everything. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. As Vidal's got it again to Weiberg, the centre-half, out to Ali. I'll apologise for pronunciations in advance as Ali gets down the left-hand side. Sliding challenge, but it falls for Davidson, the fullback, into Van den Herk, who loses out, and Burkic can bring it away. Now, after working hard to get the lead in a tightly fought game, do not give it away. We don't. Lingman presses high to win it. Hendrickson finds Lerper, who's cutting in from the right. Got support out wide, but goes alone. Finds Van den Herk, who I thought was offside. And he was. The flag goes up after a thunderous strike. Either way, it stays 1-0. And our rivals are back on terms. They've been gifted a penalty to get them on the score sheet. But at half-time, it's advantage Helsingborg. Good start. Not spectacular. Not exciting. But we got the lead. And we got it in the way we wanted. So let's ask the lads to keep it up. No real reaction because we've got no reputation. But hopefully in the second half we can cling on. And I don't care what the score is as long as we win. Gotta say, just looking at the other teams in the league, I do actually recognise Braga as well. Because Gary McSheffrey, someone we interviewed on the podcast, actually had a loan spell there many years ago. He was talking quite fondly of the place. But with 20 minutes to go, there's not a lot happening here. Now, we don't have to worry so much about resting people who are tired because we've got 7-8 days between nearly every game. But I am concerned that Lerper, after a busy pre-season, is struggling already. I'm not sure, though, that I want to take him off, to be honest. I have got Lundberg on the bench, who can play off the right wing. He's tall, he's a natural striker as well. So maybe he could get a go. We've got Johnson, who could play up front, who is great in the air at 6'4". And we've also got Adam Kaid, who maybe not so good off the right, but a really tricky winger, very similar mould to Ali. And we could just switch the sides over if we needed to. So I think what we're going to do, we'll start with 2 subs. We'll take Van den Herk off for Johnson. We'll bring Lundberg on for Lerper. And we'll maybe give it 5 or 10 more before making the last one. And I've got an eye on what I'd like to do as well. And I've got to say, I'm assuming we've got 3 subs here as we reach the last 15 minutes. I have no idea. I'm going to put Langren into the middle for Almaged, who's not had the best game. And then at right back, we're going to bring on Cart for his debut. Do we have any other subs? Let's just try our hand. We do, right. So Adam Kaid will also come on for Tahar Ali. And potentially with Vidal's fatigue, we're going to bring on Suljic for him. Must be limited to 5. It is. So all 5 substitutions made. That's going to help us massively this season. 15 to go. We've been dominant. But can we cling on? As our rivals are behind again. They survived a missed penalty, but now with 10 to go. They are 2-1 down. We're clinging on. There's no need for the time wasting because we look comfortable. And we win it. It's an ugly 1-0 win. It's a set piece and it's the exact pattern that we set up for. So I'm delighted in a way with how we've won it. I'm thrilled with the clean sheet. We look really solid. But the goal threat, the patterns of play going forward, maybe not quite there just yet. And considering the type of game we're playing, we didn't really dominate possession either. But a side expected to finish in the top half according to the media, and we win 1-0 away from home. I don't think we can ask for much more on the opening day. So I'm going to ignore the assistant recommendation today. I want to get these boys on side, so I'm just going to say nice work. We need to get them on board with us quickly, then the rest will follow. It's a promising start on the journey. We're absolutely right about that. And we're one of 6 sides to pick up 3 points on the opening day. And our title rivals, according to the media, are stuck down on 0. So let's go and have a look at the schedule for when we're next going to be back. The transfer window's closed. There's not a huge amount going on. But I kind of want to see what we're going to be up against. Look at the other favourites for the league. The top scorer actually on the opening day is Ryan Williams, an Englishman. That's interesting to see. You do tend to find quite a few British players in Scandinavia these days. There's a couple of agencies that work out here. But let's have a look at who the favourites were for the title after those who lost today. So actually they lost to one of the promoted sides. Trelleborg are now 4th favourites. And the odds have changed massively. And in favour of GIF a bit, despite their opening day win. Or I guess that might be for promotion. But let's have a look at who we've got around that area of the table upcoming. Because it looks like Trelleborg is one of those big games. I'm just looking ahead a few. So I think we might have to go that far. I don't know how many games are in a season. And I don't want to skip ahead 10 games if there's only going to be 30 odds. So let's go and have a look at the rules. Time to learn together here. We have got 30 games played. 16 team league, flat playing each other twice. That's nice and easy. So with that in mind, we will play 8 games off camera. We'll get through as many as possible unless there's any big stories because The second and third favourites for promotion are back to back in the middle of June, and that's what I want to come back for. Of course, if there's cup news, if there's other things going on, I will come back prior. But that's the plan for now. It was a brilliant start for us. We scored the set piece goal we wanted, the youngsters off the mark, and the signs are looking good here at Helsingborg as we try to rebuild. So let me know in the comments if you think we'll get promoted, what you think of the signings we've made. If you did enjoy the video, please do put a thumbs up on it. Let me know just how bad my pronunciations are if you're from the region. Subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on for daily FM22 content. We're back with Hemel Hempstead tomorrow before this returns in 2 days' time. And I'm hopeful after that start away from home, it's going to be a very enjoyable series. I'm kind of hoping we can breeze through the league this year. Then maybe next season will be where the series starts to become a challenge. I hope you're looking forward to joining me and finding out though. In the meantime, you can find links to the Twitch channel, the football podcast and the merchandise store in the eye above. But above my head now is the link to our Hemel Hempstead One Club Story playlist. Please do give it a try if you haven't already. It's still going on 100 and however many episodes later. And I'll see you next time for 2 big games against our main title rivals in the Swedish second tier.